Hi, and welcome to Present Pilgrimage, the podcast where we explore current affairs through a spiritual lens. I'm Jennifer Winninger. I'm a white woman born in Atlanta, Georgia. I have lived in 2 African countries and visited over 25 countries all over the world. Once married to an Egyptian Muslim, I have 2 biracial and multicultural children.
I'm Iyabo Onipede. I'm a multicultural, biracial immigrant woman of color, and I have this unwavering belief that every single life has immense and incredible value. My core values center around compassion, equity, and justice.
Some of the questions Iyabo and I want to ask you all and talk about are, how can some of our more dehumanizing and limiting behaviors be examined, looked at, and transformed? Can we learn how to train ourselves to behave more humanely towards others who are seemingly different from us? Can we learn to quiet the voices of fear and suspicion and open ourselves up to connection, learning, and understanding some of our core values?
Thanks for listening to this podcast. Jennifer and I invite you to tap into your core values and join us on this journey as we explore current issues. Might we all begin to view the world through these amazing lenses of our deepest core values? Welcome to Present Pilgrimage.
Hi, everyone. Today we are going to talk about some timely topics and some things that are interesting to us and hopefully to you all, and do some lively conversation around it.
Welcome. This is Iyabo
And Jennifer.
So today, Jennifer, I want us to talk about the royal wedding. We brought this up last week.
Yep.
And I did not wake up early to watch it. I cheated and watched clips on Facebook.
I was not getting up at 3 in the morning.
No way. So I actually don't remember William's wedding, but this one, there was so much talk about Meghan Markle that I just got caught up in it. And who doesn't love love, right?
Yes.
There's so much hope that a good love story brings, right?
I think it really was very heartwarming. I think it touched a lot of people.
Yeah, and I personally, I know of Bishop Curry of the Episcopal Church. I've heard him before. I have a very special place in my heart for the Episcopal Church, even though I'm not Episcopalian, because of some of the good stuff I've seen them do here in Atlanta. So I was excited that the Episcopal Church was featured. Bishop Curry, who's a black male, was featured.
He talked about love.
He preached. Now that's some good preaching he did right there. The look of horror on some of the visitors' faces was hilarious.
Not really knowing how to react.
Yeah. But you know what appealed to me so much, I think, was Meghan Markle's mom, and the fact that she had dreadlocks in her hair and she wore a nose ring.
And she was a single mom, sitting by herself.
See, the single mom,
her daughter.
The single mom thing didn't alert me like it did a lot of other women. And
I felt like that would be me sitting there.
Right, like people were like, for all the single moms and how she must have felt lonely and stuff. I was like, why are you putting that on her? I don't know that she feels lonely.
I was proud. I was impressed because she didn't need anybody else to sit next to her.
No, she didn't.
Yeah.
She held her own.
She did.
She held her own. The other thing was that I felt her nose ring in particular was a huge statement, because a nose ring you can take out, right. And maybe this is more a reflection of me. Like, if I ever I'm going to say God forbid, but if I ever got a nose ring, I am the kind of person that would wear it to certain places and not wear it to other places, right?
So in this instance, you would think, royal wedding,
please don't
St.
rock
George's
the
Chapel,
boat.
not the place to wear it.
Not the place, right? In my very limited opinion. And she did not budge on anything of who she was. I was particularly struck that her makeup and the daughter's makeup were light and understated.
Yes.
I loved Megan's dress. I loved it. It was beautiful and simple and elegant and clean lines. The other thing was the choir and the cellist. Oh my word. The choir, what I loved about the choir, first of all, the singing was beautiful. But also, once again, this issue of natural hair came up with the choir. And Jennifer, the reason this is important to me is that the Supreme Court may be listening to a case around hair and dreadlocks. In 2010, a woman applied for a job at an insurance processing company, and she had dreadlocks, and the HR manager informed her that she couldn't work for the company with dreadlocks, that quote-unquote dreadlocks tend to get messy. And the company had offered her a job basically saying, but you have to cut your dreadlocks off, and then they withdrew the offer. And she filed a federal suit. The Court of Appeals, and I believe this is in Alabama, the Court of Appeals said, nope, the employer has the right to tell you not to wear dreadlocks. Please bear in mind, dreadlocks are what Meghan Markle's mom had in her hair. Some of the women in the choir had dreadlocks, they had braids. They had what in African American communities considered natural hairstyles, not the straightening out and the pressing. So Meghan, these pictures of Meghan have surfaced on the internet showing her with what I call, this is an insight into my life, fuzzy hair, right? When she was a teenager, her hair was less straightened, and for the wedding, her hair was very straight. So I have that same kind of hair.
Yeah.
And, well, maybe not, mine doesn't get as straight as Meghan's, but then I'm not into straight hair. But all my life, my hair has been an issue of struggle. And there's so much. Sometimes I fantasize about having the ability to write from the perspective of animated hair, that my hair tells its story.
Yeah.
When I would go to the market when I was a little girl and try and sit between the feet of a market woman in Lagos, and they would braid my hair, and I would get headaches. And because my hair was so soft, my hair is like baby soft.
Yeah.
The thread wouldn't grip my hair right. The braids wouldn't stay in my hair. The ends would forever get unloosened, and they would just fuss at me and thump my hair and say, "What's wrong with your hair?" And then I came to this country and discovered relaxers, and I had relaxers for a very long time. Thank God I've gotten to a place where my hair works for me, and I go between wearing it natural in the summer when it's just too humid to try and control it, to wearing it semi-straight the rest of the year, and because I have a great hairdresser now that I work with. But black women and hair is huge, huge, huge. Even in Black Panther, the fact that those women, a lot of the warrior women were bald-headed women. Huge, huge, huge. Bald is not considered feminine and pretty. Dreadlocks, I don't know what the heck the stigma is around that. Braids sometimes are not considered professional. So black women are constantly navigating black hair care, which is totally, totally different than white hair care. So let me tell you this one thing, right? Let me tell you this one thing. How often do you wash your hair, Jennifer?
As I've gotten older, less, maybe twice a week.
Okay.
Once a week, depending if I work out.
Did you ever wash it every day?
No.
Okay.
Every other.
So if you wash your hair once a week, how would it look at the end of the week?
It actually looked better, in my opinion, a lot of times because my hair is fine, but it's also frizzy. So when I wash it more, it can get more frizzier.
Okay.
So there's like this nice little window, you know, that like sweet spot where it's not super frizzy, but it's not super greasy.
Right. See, that's the thing. If I washed my hair every day, my scalp would shed because it would be too dry. So most black women wash their hair once a week, once every other week. And we manage hairstyles to keep the hair oil in place so that we have healthy hair and healthy scalps. So for me, for instance, in the summer, every 5 or 6 days, In the winter, a week is fine.
Yeah.
But these are differences in us as women
Yeah.
that are legit for our bodies. This is not
Yes.
a sanitation
Right.
issue.
Yeah.
Putting all those harsh relaxers in your hair affects
Yes,
hormones
absolutely.
and body health.
Chemicals.
And so
Yeah.
here is this woman. This wedding displayed a lot of natural hair stuff. Hopefully, the Supreme Court will hear this case and we will begin to make peace.
Because it's
with-
healthier. It's healthier.
It's also your choice.
It's your choice.
It's your
Absolutely.
choice. If it's not a hygienic issue, and this subjective language of dreadlocks are messy, if it's not a hygienic
Yeah.
issue, then what are we talking
So this is
about?
this is where I think it's what is the subjective nature of this ruling. So if you look at my hair is fine, but it's also curly and frizzy, and I shed. So what's to say that my hair is less messy if I leave it the way it is down? I might blow it out to make it less frizzy, but I'm shedding hair a lot. So why would my hair be less messy the way it is versus someone who wears dreadlocks, which may be even less prone to shedding? I don't know that's I'm going through the scenario as far as what does messy mean?
Right.
And that's not, for me, that's not valid to say that something like that is because of the appearance it's messier. I'm not really sure.
Right. Well, I think the thing too is this is how privilege shows up in work.
Yes.
When an HR person can make a decision as to what's messy or what's not
Right.
messy based on lack of cultural understanding or racial understanding in this case, that different doesn't mean messy.
Yes. And a narrow idea of what they want to see in the workplace as far as that, their employees go.
Yeah. And black women struggle with this issue of hair so much. I've been going to the same hairdresser for about 18 years.
And then you find that hairdresser, and
Oh my
that's so
God,
valuable.
Hold on. Like, I think of leaving Atlanta
I can
and
identify
moving.
with that, yeah.
I think of leaving Atlanta and moving, and I'm like, my hairdresser. No, I can't do that.
I can't leave
She's
my hairdresser.
enough.
She's gotta go with
years.
me.
18 years. Like, when I hit menopause, I started shedding. At the crown of my head, I was losing hair a lot. Like, it's still
I
very
too.
thin. But she's also a trichologist, which is the study of the scalp. And she helped me out a lot with that. But the other thing that came up with this, I was watching the Red Table Talks with Jada Pinkett Smith and her mother and her daughter, Willow.
Yeah.
I think Willow. And Jada was talking about body image issues and how she's been wearing this turban scarf thing around her head, and she talked about losing hair. She's going through alopecia and loss of hair, and they touched on, as black women, the pride of the crown kind of thing, and just the self-image issues that goes along with hair. But hair is political. That's the bottom line.
Well, my relation to this, and when I'm reflecting and listening to you, is how my daughter, who is mixed race, she's half Egyptian, half American. Her hair is very different than mine in texture, in thickness, in color, and her father has very dark curly hair, a lot of hair, and mine is lighter and finer. So I struggle with being able to help her style her hair, take care of her hair. It's so different. I felt a little lost and clueless, and I've tried to listen to different people. She's tried to kind of figure it out for herself, talk to her hairdresser. So as she got older, it got much curlier and thicker. And at one point, I think I said, well, I love your hair because it's thick, it's curly. You can wear it straight if you want, but you can also wear it curly. And she really I think she wanted to kind of tone down the curliness. And then at one point she just said, you know what? I like it natural. I'm going to wear it natural. And I think it's beautiful. But mine is so different that I don't know for her what's so wrapped up in that, and it's much more visible because of her hair. It's her ethnicity is, I think, she feels more conspicuous and more visible. When she went through puberty, it became much curlier.
I think you hit on the point, which is that hair really tells us apart. Hair, it's one thing, because this was another issue with Meghan Markle, right? People were saying she's so light-skinned she could pass for white, and we'll talk about that a little later on. But I know that, for instance, in the black community, we talk about good hair. So
Yeah.
people will touch my hair and say, "Oh, you got good hair," and I'm like, "Hair has no moral quality," and they're like, "Huh?" And I'm like, "Don't ever call hair good. It may be easier to manage, but it does not have moral quality." We use things like hair to judge people, assess people, put
Yeah.
them in boxes.
Yeah.
There was another point about hair that I thought about.
Well, I think
So I'm thinking about issues I've heard African Americans talk about with especially girl children that are adopted by white couples who don't know what to do with.
yes, I have a
Their
friend
hair.
who has a young daughter. She said, "I'd love it." You know, she's tried to reach out to learn. I think she's watched videos. She's got an adorable little daughter. There's a picture of her on my fridge, and she said, I've had to learn kind of some things about how to take care of her hair, particularly."
Right. And a lot of times your child gets judged. If you are a white parent of a black child, well, I don't care how you got that child, your child gets judged by other African Americans, black people, people of color, when the hair doesn't meet that community standards. So as ridiculous as all this conversation is,
Yeah.
within the black community, when your child's hair is not taken care of, it means you're a neglectful parent.
And as a white woman, that's like the worst thing, a nightmare for a white to think, "Oh my God, I didn't get it perfect. I didn't get it right. I don't know what I'm doing. It doesn't look right." That's like her work, for many white women. I shouldn't say all white women.
Right, like to run around with hair all over the place, looking wacky, like you have just disgraced the entire race.
Yeah.
It's that thing of cultural representation.
Yeah.
And so when black people see children parented by a white parent, like my mother got a lot of judgment about my hair.
Yeah.
A lot of judgment. And this was in Nigeria, not even here. So it's even in Nigeria, like getting, for a girl, looking good, keeping your hair controlled, braiding it, whatever it is you're doing, you do it well, you do it gorgeously, and it's part of your beauty and your crowning achievement. I know in my Nigerian culture, and same here in American culture, it can be short, but it needs to be well taken care of. Grooming matters in the black community, and I just say that because I know moms of mixed race children or adopted black children really struggle with that issue, and you've got to figure out a way to make peace with it, but also be sensitive to what that child may be going through, because that child is getting flack about it.
Yeah, it was a source for me of feeling, am I being a good mother? Am I inadequate in that area? How do I help, my daughter feel comfortable with her own hair?
Right.
And also just, let it kind of be the way it is and see it as beautiful, which I do see it as beautiful. But seeing her kind of process and struggle with it and trying to help with that in some way.
Cool.
Just be supportive.
Cool.